6010. Fantasy Focus.
What's good, friends? Welcome into Fantasy Focus alongside Mike Clay and Field Yates. My name is Daniel Dopp, and Michael, I just want to say congratulations. You made it past Cutdown Day. You're still here the day after.
I made it. I survived.
Shout out to you.
It is a long day of just pressing the delete button and moving guys around on depth charts, but I was up till about midnight last night, put the finishing touches on it, got everything updated. So
I think Mike took that opposite than what I meant.
The best part of what, yes.
What?
He was congratulating you on making the team.
You made the team. You're here on the show today.
Well, I knew I would make the team because I was up till midnight doing all the transactions while you were sleeping, okay?
Someone has to do it. Don't understand what Mike is talking about. Mike literally updates every projection, and last night he is grinding the projection model because of the fact that there were, 1,000+ moves made yesterday.
Yeah, so it's wild. It's almost half the league gets cut. And it's not just that. It's moving guys to IR. There's a difference between getting waived injured and waived or cut, so... everything's updated. I got the PDF updated and the game updated last night, so you'll see all that reflected. I have some little tedious things to do, like the capsules and stuff, but it's good to go. I updated this morning, too. There was the Tim Patrick trade.
Yes, there was.
And I didn't get to the Thielen trade because it happened like 2 minutes ago, so I apologize.
Yes.
Am I cut now?
Honestly, yes, you are. That's correct. That's right. The ramifications for not updating the game within 3 minutes of the Adam Thielen trade being announced.
Now, question though, am I waived or waived injured?
You're waived injured.
Waived injured.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you broke our heart.
That's right. Then that's good for me. I get an injury settlement. So
maybe we have to reconsider that.
This is the nerdiest opening to a show ever, and I love it.
What do you always say? Not to get too inside baseball here, but
that's correct. Because there are some times where it actually matters, and good example of that being the case right now.
We got a very fun show planned for you today. Mike already talked about it. We're going to dive into some winners and losers here in just a little bit from the cut down day, as well as headlines from the future. We're going to bring you some spicy headlines and prognosticate a few things later on this football season.
Love this.
I just opened up Adam Schefter's Twitter drafts.
Yep.
And I have all of my prognostications from him.
Love that.
It's great. Yes.
I love that. A quick shout out to our friends over at Trophy Smack. Before we get started, head on over to trophysmack.com. Get 10% off using the promo code FOCUS10. Go get yourself a belt or a chain, or maybe something to be able to give out as a loser punishment from there. But our friends over at Trophy Smack are unbelievable. Go check them out again. Promo code is FOCUS10 for 10% off your order. But let's dive into some winners and losers coming down from Cut Down Day. Mike, I'm going to turn the podcast over to you and let you rip through a couple things, and we'll just sort of jump in when we want.
We think we should start with Adam Thielen first? Or
yes. We could do that.
Okay, let's just get through the news there. So for those that maybe you're watching live and don't live on Twitter like we do, Adam Thielen was traded back to the Minnesota Vikings. Mm-hmm. We can give you all the draft picks, but the bottom line is basically Carolina is getting a day 3 pick when you take out the conditional stuff and all that, whatever. The bottom line is Carolina gets a pick and Adam Thielen goes home to Minnesota.
Yeah, we got a pick next year and a pick in 2027. I think a 2028 pick was actually traded yesterday, like a 7th in one of the deals, which is
by the
wild.
way,
That's
KT Leviston, inside baseball.
I was just going to say.
The furthest pick that you can trade out is 3 drafts out.
There you go.
The Rams, I believe, got as little as you could possibly get other than a conditional 2028 7th round pick.
For a player they would have cut, presumably. So, so we'll just run through a few because I just took some notes here as I was working through.
Nothing. Adam Thielen.
Oh, yeah, we're going to start with Thielen. You're right. That is one. I think the big winner here, Xavier Legette, Jalen Coker in Carolina.
Had a Roe McMillan.
Yeah, well, I think a little bit of a boost, but we already expected a big target share there. I don't think Adam Thielen leaving really affects him a lot. I think it's the other guys that kind of soak up those targets. So
fair enough. Okay.
I think it helps McMillan a little bit.
Yep.
But I think Xavier Legette, remember, he was the first-round pick last year. This is a guy that has been a late-round flyer, kind of a boring pick, a guy that is often atop the draft room. You're like, I don't see much upside. They got McMillan. The offense might not be that good. But I think he has a little bit more appeal now, and he'll run the ball a little bit more, too. Jalen Coker will now presumably be out there in 11 personnel when they have 3 receivers on the field. So I think those are the winners. And, guys, the loser, I think, is Adam Thielen here. I think weeks 1 through 3, he'll have some appeal. There's no Jordan Addison there, so it should be top priority, obviously. Justin Jefferson. Probably T.J. Hawkinson.
Yeah. Jalen Naylor, is he? I mean,
no, he goes.
Yeah.
He gets sunk for sure. But we already weren't drafting him. But Thielen will be the number 2 receiver. So he might have some. He might put up flex numbers those first few weeks. But after that, once Jordan Addison comes back, I don't know how there's enough volume for him to provide consistently in fantasy. So I think he's the one. He had a shot to hang in flex in Carolina. In Minnesota, I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay, so I will reinforce that I do believe Tetairoa McMillan is a bit of a winner here. And I think the reason why is maybe the target share doesn't change dramatically, but I think the note they sent, the Carolina Panthers, the message they sent, I should say, is like, this kid has come along just as you expect or hope an 8th overall pick to come along, right? Like, I don't think they make this trade if T-Mac hasn't been having this awesome training camp. And it underscores that perhaps we haven't talked enough about him. Now, I thought about this because I was thinking about, do I go update my rankings and move Tetairoa McMillan up a few more spots? Mike said this recently on a show. There's this tier of guys amongst the wide receivers that might, and this sounds like a lot, it might be 20 deep, where it's like, how do you break the ties between Rome Odunze and Tetairoa McMillan and Jerry Jeudy and players of that caliber, right? And maybe the first retort to Rome Odunze is, hey, he's not the number one wide receiver on his own offense, but maybe that's offset by playing at what could be a better offense with a quarterback who has maybe the most talent out of that three. The bottom line is this. There's this gigantic tier, really intriguing, let's call them wide receiver threes, that Tetairoa McMillan really fits into. But if you tell me at the end of next year, at end of this upcoming season, they do have a lot of upside. I don't know if I'm expecting this to be Brian Thomas Jr. level. He was wide receiver 3 on the season last year. But BTJ is a good example that there are all these guys that we kind of have waiting in the wide receiver 3 weeds during the preseason who could clearly ball out and prove to be league winners. I think there is a chance that Tetairoa McMillan proves to be a league winner.
I think that's a fair point. We're always looking for signals that a player is not a bust or is an average player or is going to be a superstar, and perhaps this Thielen trade kind of cements the fact that they think he is the real deal. So I agree. There, everything's, range of outcomes and confidence levels, and maybe we just update our confidence or increase our confidence level in McMillan. So it's totally a fair point.
I just think we just, sometimes you want to talk more about players that, when there's 50-ish wide receivers that we think have a path to fantasy relevance this year, you're not going to be talking about all of them extensively. Consider this our opportunity to talk with a little bit more emphasis and confidence in Tetairoa McMillan.
Yeah, and by the way, one other thing I was thinking about there, just to put a bow on it, is like, unless you wanted to contribute
I'll
as
let
well.
you finish, and then I'll.
It just popped into my head. It's kind of like that issue we have. I think you're kind of talking about this when we get into that tier of receivers. It's like if you're thinking like, say, Calvin Ridley versus McMillan, right? Yeah. Ridley may be a safer play for wide receiver 2 or 3 numbers, but what's his ceiling? Probably wide receiver 2. McMillan, more of an unknown, right? His ceiling might be the number 3 scoring wide receiver. He has a higher ceiling, and that's where it gets tricky when we're ranking these guys. Do you go for a higher floor player in that area, or do you go for the ceiling guy?
Roster construction.
Exactly right.
I don't think it's going to change where I am ranking him, but I also just love this move for JJ McCarthy because over the first 3 weeks of the season, like you guys already mentioned, it just gives him another guy to be able to lock onto rather than have a little bit of a thinner receiving core to be able to find ways to
they were workout
deliver
buddies
the
this
football.
offseason where he and
Love that.
Thielen as well. Yeah.
Love that. All right, let's keep on moving then. Mike, we got a couple of guys. I'm just going to let you rip through them, and then Field and I will jump in as we wish.
Yep. Yeah,
but go ahead and give us your winners.
Exactly right. Just cut me off if you want to talk about anything here. Top winner here.
That's enough.
All right, well, next topic. Losers, Field Yates, end of list. All right, first winner, Tony Pollard. Tajay Spears goes to IR, so he's out 4 games. Not only is Pollard kind of cemented early in the season as the feature back, but perhaps can keep that grip all season like he did last year. So,
by the way, Mike, it's funny that you start here because the Titans own the first claim priority on waivers. And by the time people are listening to this or maybe watching it as well, they could have claimed like 3 running backs that might change the complexion of their running back room. Let's time.
I don't know if it'll be.
Mike is saying it's at 10:09 a.m.
By the way, was someone waived that we're really worried about?
No,
like a seventh round running back or something?
Damian Martinez from the Seahawks or something like that.
Like Deuce Vaughn goes there. We're not really worried about Pollard.
But I agree with your take.
So Jerome Ford and Dylan Sampson. It wasn't just that Judkins is still unsigned. Also, Pierre Strong, who quietly kind of played a role in passing situations last year, was placed on IR. So those 2 cemented as the 1-2 punch in Cleveland.
I believe. Can I just mention one thing here?
Yeah.
Just to clarify or update people, because I don't know that people have the full scope of what's going on with Quinshon Judkins.
Sure.
Just because he's not going to face criminal charges, it does not mean that the NFL cannot or will not suspend him. The NFL conducts its own investigation into all legal matters. The Cleveland Browns have obviously not signed Judkins. if this was a complete nothing burger and there were no concerns and there were no things to work through, he would have been signed the day after the most recent legal update. So it's just a reminder that he could sign. I mean, there has been some suggestions that he could sign in the next week or so with the Cleveland Browns, but this is very, very much a moving target. So for now, if you do draft Quinshon Judkins, you have to prepare for a wide range of scenarios, including the possibility that maybe he's on the field the first 4 games of the season, but could face punishment from the NFL, a la Rashee Rice, who, of course, has his hearing date on September 30th.
Yeah, and best case scenario right now might be that he signs, there's no legal situation or it's pushed off, and he joins the team. But even then, do you expect him to play a big role in week 1? He hasn't been with the team?
Not big, not
early.
not week 1.
It'll
but
take
yeah,
some
it'll
time.
take some time.
That's kind of my point. Like, if you draft him, you're hoping second half of the season, potentially a league winner, helps you in the fantasy playoffs, but
Right there,
not going to help you right now. Cedric Tillman, also in Cleveland. Deontay Johnson was cut, so I think Tillman a little safer in that number 2 role. This has been trending that way for a while, but Tillman's been a very cheap late-round flyer. Remember, he spiked last year. It was actually, a top 5 scoring receiver for
I remember that month
stretch.
well, yeah.
Yeah, so keep an eye on him in the late rounds. You want to take this one?
My guy,
Your boy?
Isaac Tesla, absolutely. After Tim Patrick gets traded to the Jaguars for a
just
6th-round pick,
happened today,
I feel like it's similar to what you were just talking about with the Carolina Panthers. Obviously, a different type of wide receiver, but the team drafted Isaac Tesla to be the eventual Tim Patrick replacement. They just saw enough in training camp and preseason that they were like, you know what? We can't keep this guy off the field. So I think he's going to become the number 3 in that offense.
The only hesitation with Tesla by the way, his name needs to be Tesla. Like, it needs to be like the car. Like, just make it easy for us.
Just do it.
Good for branding.
I'm not sure the Ford family is into that. Being that it's also, you know what I mean?
It's Paul had not thought of that dynamic in play. We have a lot of excitement for basically every Lion, which means that someone's not going to pay off.
Gotta
right?
pump the
Just
brakes.
going to say that.
Yeah.
This is not you start him in your flex week 1. This is if something happens to Jameson or Amon-Ra, then suddenly this guy becomes very appealing on waivers.
I'm
and
not drafting him, but we have a little, you can flag guys, right? The watch
100%.
list.
Yeah,
That's exactly where he lands.
Just a
He's a
boost
stud.
in value. Guys,
Brad
definitely.
Holmes does it again, baby.
Yeah,
Guys,
bright
he's
future.
speaking of studs. Right.
Next one, we're talking late round flyers here. Kendre Miller, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Cam Akers were cut. So it's Alvin Kamara is the lead back. We know that. Then it's Kendre Miller. Then it's Devin Neal, late round rookie, and Bayless Jones is a returner. I mean, that's it. So Kendre Miller's insurance appeal, very high right now. Deep super flex league, Spencer Rattler gets the Saints starting job. Not much to see there. And then I'll mention these quickly because a little foreshadowing. We're going to get to these, but Texans running backs. Joe Mixon goes to NFI. He's going to be out 4 games, and then Dolphins running backs as well. So again, I'll leave those there.
We'll touch on those a little bit later.
About them shortly.
Those were the good winners. I mean, those are not, obviously not many of them are really going to move the needle for us right now in like early rounds. This is like guys to keep an eye on, names to make sure that you remember and whatnot. If you had some losers, Mike, from Cut Down Day, who would you have on that list?
Yeah, not as many here. Michael Penix's sleeper appeal. Caleb McGarry, the right tackle. And remember, Penix is a lefty, so this is his blind side. Tackle goes to IR. He's done for the season. Also, Darnell Mooney may miss week 1 to early, a couple games open the season. So it makes him a little less appealing if you're looking for a late round flyer at quarterback. And there's a lot of options you have to choose from. So
Ray McLeod, is that the number 3 there in Atlanta?
Yeah, he probably would be the 2.
Yeah.
They might add someone too. They have some depth issue there. Jags running back room. We were kind of hoping, I think, that someone would be traded. Hank Bigsby, Trevor Etienne, someone like that. But
Can I drop a note on you on that?
Yeah, please do.
Shefty every year on his podcast delivers a list from a trainer, Pete. I'm going to screw up the last name, and I really apologize for that. He's based in Florida, and he's had some notable hits. Like, this guy works with a ton of players, and he's like really crushed it on some non-obvious picks. And he did give a stamp of confidence. Do you have the name?
Pete Bomarito.
Pete Bomarito, yes, from I believe Bomarito Performance Center.
Systems. Yep.
He is a fan of Bhayshul Tuten.
I love
Bhayshul Tuten. So
one of my favorite underrated prospects in this year's class. I've drafted him a lot in the late rounds.
Yep.
I've took a little of all of them, but I really like Tuten a lot.
Bhayshul
So
Tuten, yep.
Also,
Bhayshul.
This is one of those names where when I look at it, I'm just going to say it
Bhayshul.
wrong.
Yeah,
I was saying Bhayshul either, and but it's Basil. It's kind of like the Bhayshul.
Bhayshul. Yeah.
Bhayshul.
Bhayshul.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get
All
there.
right. So
Next one, Mike Clay.
It's preseason for all.
So for now,
That's right.
no one has been traded there. They have 3, maybe 4 guys. So Quint Allen as well, 7th round pick. I have Omarion Hampton on this list. Najee, and just because Najee Harris is going to play, we thought he might miss some time. He's going to be there. He'll have somewhat of a role. Not moving the needle much on Hampton. We thought Harris would be back, but something to consider. It could have been good for Hampton had Harris miss some time.
Don't you feel like Omarion Hampton could be one of the defining players of like the first 3 to 4 games of the season?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
The hype has gone so significant, right? The idea that this guy could be a top 10 running back or something like that. There's a chance, and I hope I'm wrong here, but there is a chance like Najee Harris is taking like early down work and early game work for the Chargers. He's not spectacular by any stretch, but Najee Harris is a first-round pick 4 years ago who is like kind of like middle of the pack for running backs, but probably below middle of the pack. But like Najee Harris is not a nothing burger running back 2 to have on your roster.
No doubt
so
about
I feel like if Najee has 12 carries in the first game and Hampton has 13, people are just going to lose their mind. That game, of course, being played Friday night in Brazil against the Chiefs.
Yeah, I was just going to say that spicy first game for him against the Chiefs, which is going to be fun. And I think they have a few question marks on defense. There's some.
The Chargers?
Well, maybe the Chargers a little bit, but the Chiefs too.
Yeah, the Chargers talent maximized last year on defense.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And the Chiefs, good call.
Last one, sticking in that division, Raiders rookie receivers. Thornton and Beck were their 4th and 2nd round picks, respectively. Amari Cooper signed with the Raiders. Yeah. So I don't know that Cooper is going to be a fantasy starter anymore, but he should have a role in that offense. They brought him in for a reason. So the rookies probably going to be pushed down the road. Not a good start for Besh. I know you liked him a lot, but
I did,
slow start. That doesn't mean he's dead in the water. But.
Well, what I'll say is this, I'm just going to lay this out there. Amari Cooper. We've seen the Raiders, and these are not guys that are fantasy relevant. But some of the players the Raiders have brought in this offseason include Amari Cooper, Jamal Adams. Did they bring in Devin White? Devin White's there, right?
Is he on the?
Someone can fact check me on that one. But the bottom line is this. They brought in a number of veterans. How old's their head coach?
He is an older.
He's 74. Yeah. Oldest head coach in NFL history right now is Pete Carroll. Devin White now with the Raiders as well. They're going to bring in guys and play guys who can help them win right away. That is what Pete Carroll, who not just because of his age, like Pete Carroll's not going to coach the Raiders for 10 years. Yeah. Right? Like this might be a 3-year window for Pete Carroll. I think his contract was 3 or 4 years. The bottom line is this. Pete is there to win and try to win now, which means that if Amari Cooper, even if he's slightly more expensive and has less developmental upside, clearly, than Jack Besh or Dante Thornton, if he's going to help them right away, they will play guys like that right away.
Do you think he's going to help them right away, though? I mean,
not for fantasy. Yes, I think he'll be on the field a lot. I think it'll be, Brock Bowers, Kobe Myers, and Amari Cooper.
Everything that I saw in Buffalo last year just made me not feel like Amari Cooper has anything left in the tank.
He was fine. He was okay the first half of the season with Cleveland. Like, there still were some games. Like, when he got traded, it was for a 3rd-round pick, and we were kind of like, whoa, like, this might be like a legit fantasy asset the rest of the way with the eventual NFL MVP under center.
The Bills gave up a 3rd-round pick for
Amari Cooper. Pick, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, same thing with DeAndre Hopkins. He wasn't as expensive, but same thing. They just didn't really play. They'd seen 1-2 targets. Not good.
That's crazy. All right, well, we'll obviously have the final list of all the cutdowns and everything happens today at 3 p.m.
So big day today. So teams have to submit their waiver claims by noon.
That's what it is, waiver claims.
10:18 Eastern time. We'll probably know by around 1 o'clock who gets claimed. I'm sure there will be plenty of players claimed off of waivers. We'll see some movement. And, of course, when a player is claimed, a team has to make a move to create room for that player if they don't have a full roster. And so you'll see another series of moves around 4 p.m. Eastern time today. So you'll probably see some guys go to IR. You'll probably see some guys who made the team, maybe as long shots, undrafted free agents who may see their fortunes change dramatically in just one day. I'll tell you one team who does not need to create any roster spots is the Detroit Lions, who currently have 49 guys on their roster. Dave. What's up with that?
I was actually talking with my buddy Kurt on the way in about this and the idea that we overcut players and we're trying to figure out what sort of gymnastics is Brad Holmes playing here for us to know why do you cut more players than what you need to? I have no idea.
Not done. Almost every team knows they're not done. Right?
It was the Darius Smith and guys like that.
Howie Roseman said the same thing with the Eagles. They're not done.
We've been waiting.
Busy day ahead.
Detroit Lions only have 3 edge rushers on their roster right now.
Is that right?
There's some teams where when you're cutting guys, you're like, they're not done there.
They're going to do some
things. They cut too many guys.
Yep.
And that is common. That happens every year where a team says, sometimes you'll see a team just cut their punter knowing we're going to claim a punter. We don't like our punter now. It can't be worse than what we had. We're going to go get one.
We'll
That's not
show
the case
him
right
who's
now.
boss.
But
yeah.
All right. Well, you said we would know
the Lions punt the ball.
Not very often. Not if we can help it. We like to just go for it on fourth down.
Yeah.
But you mentioned we will know around 1 o'clock maybe where things are at, what waivers are going to be.
Tommy Cutlets could have a new home.
He may.
I'd claim him.
Does that feel like a headline from the future? I feel like maybe
Probably,
it could be.
yeah. I think so. Yes, but we have other headlines from the future that I think are slightly more fantasy relevant.
More than Tommy Cutlets. Well, we're each going to bring 3 headlines from the future to the table right now and talk about which way we think things are going to go here in the 2025 season. Field Yates, I'm going to start with you for your first headline from the future, which is
Monday, September 8th, from Thoughts from the Field or the Fantasy Focus forecast. Daniel Jones, that's right, Danny Dimes, finishes as top 10 fantasy scorer in week 1 as the Colts put up a lot of points against the Miami Dolphins defense. Danny Dimes, we know, does have some fantasy appeal, even if in real life he can often be a confounding player. But last year, Danny Dimes started 10 games. He was a top 11 quarterback in 4 of those 10 games, top 13 in 5 of those 10 games. Otherwise, he was 22nd or worse. He is a hit or miss player. But I am going to play a game of trivia. Mike, you're not allowed to play because you know these kind of things. Daniel,
yes.
Name 2 Dolphins cornerbacks. Go.
No.
Jason Sehorn does not count.
Yeah, and Jalen Ramsey is no longer there.
Jalen Ramsey does not count, yes.
So, Finkel and Einhorn.
Yes,
Come on, it's
correct.
one of your favorite, one of the best names in football, Storm Duck.
Oh, Storm Duck. How could I forget Storm Duck?
So seriously, here are the Dolphins' top corners right now. Storm Duck, Cam Smith, a second-round pick who a few years ago who has certainly not panned out. Kendall Sheffield.
No, they cut him, didn't they?
Sheffield's gone. He might be back tomorrow. He's a vested veteran, so he could be back tomorrow. Jason Marshall, their 5th-round pick out of Florida this year.
Their slot, yep.
Rasul Douglas signed yesterday.
Okay, Rasul
Probably
Douglas.
a one-year deal, who's fine, but yes, he'll probably start. My point is this, is like I'm targeting quarterbacks that are playing the Dolphins every week of the season if I need a streaming option. So Danny Dimes fits the bill. Obviously, there's some rushing upside as well from Dimes. And again, say whatever you want about the Colts and their quarterback process and Danny Dimes and whether he is great or not. I would argue he's got a pretty good group of weapons to work with there. Like Jonathan Taylor, Tyler Warren, Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs, A.D. Mitchell, Alec Pierce. Like, you could certainly find worse supporting casts around. I think it sets up well for a big week 1 for Danny Dimes.
It's funny. I almost did something very similar, which is going to be something about him being like a top 10, top 12 scorer by season's end, which he's done before.
Yes,
just a few years ago. I think he was
7th
in points per game at quarterback with the Giants.
By the way, you know what would happen, and this is a little bit of a real-life football tangent here, is if Danny Dimes does that, and he leads this team to the playoffs, which I think is probably unlikely, but the division is so vulnerable that it could happen.
They could get in there.
The Colts could do what the Giants did during the year in which Danny Dimes took them to the playoffs. It's like, yeah, he played well enough to prove that he's got solid football starter in him. And then like this offseason, Danny Dimes gets like 4 years, $160 million. And then after next year, the Colts are like, we forgot that it's the multi-year with Danny Jones. That's the problem. It's not the single isolated game or half of a season or full season. It's the fact that over the course of time, Danny Dimes has proven himself to be just kind of like right in the middle at best for quarterbacks. And when you're right in the middle at best for quarterback, it means your team's not going to win a lot of games.
This is his best supporting cast that he would have ever played with.
I was just going to say, this might be a hot take. I would say the Colts on paper have a top 10 roster if you exclude quarterback. So this is probably the best team Chris Ballard's had on paper because they actually spent a little this offseason. They went out and brought in talent, which they were trying to do all homegrown talent. That was Ballard's thing for years, and it was not working. And they kept re-signing like non-needle moving players, and now they're like, okay, we actually have to go add some impact players, and the team is much better.
Yep. Yeah. Mike, save those hot takes for tomorrow, just for what it's worth. All right.
Ooh, foreshadowing
a little
again.
Foreshadowing there. All right, where are you going with your first headline from the future, my friend?
We talked about this guy a little bit earlier. How about this one? Wednesday, September 10th, after producing 142 yards and 2 touchdowns on only 11 touches in a Week 1 24-21 victory against the Panthers, Bhayshul I'll get there. Bhayshul Tuten, who's currently rostered in 23% of ESPN leagues, is the most added player during Week 1 waivers.
Of course, Mike is going to add an entire stat line in there with it.
I went all in on
either
this.
I didn't understand the assignment, or you like Lisa Simpson the assignment by going way above and beyond.
That's
right. Headlines. Like headlines is like source. Thielen to Vikings.
Yeah, you did like Michael Scott Paper Company. Some business papers still know how to do
I didn't think that
business.
said the Field and Daniel newspaper. It said the Clay Chronicle.
You remember the graphic that was sent around in our group thread yesterday that had the headline?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the headline you should be thinking of.
That's it. Okay,
I'm not sure
okay.
I
don't know what
share
you're
that
talking
Quick and
headline.
short, to the point.
I know what you're talking about.
All right.
Anyway, Tuten. So
Tuten.
Yeah.
Speaking
Yeah,
of
Mike
the
is
headline.
By the way,
speaking of the
Mike is
headline.
Wait, didn't we do this project? Didn't we do this project last year? And I seem to remember nailing it. By the way,
You did a
most
great job.
dropped player in week 1 waivers, Blake Corum.
Yeah.
So we're going the other way this time. We're going more positive. So
Interesting. You know, your stat line, which I'm guessing was a little bit tongue in cheek.
yeah,
11 carries,
the
122
point
yards.
is that he's coming off the bench. He gets a few touches, has some big plays.
So he
and
should
then
be
gets a few-
drafted higher and more frequently then.
Yeah, well, you don't have to reach on him too early. He's available late, so you don't
Gotcha.
have
So
to take
good
him in the
late round as what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, late round flyer. We talked about that a little bit earlier. He was one of my most drafted players during our mock draft experiment. I think he has a shot at some point to take control, and he's not gonna get 20 touches in week 1. That's kind of the point.
Yeah, for sure.
He's gonna flash and then maybe get a little in the fourth quarter, and kind of boost his touches because he's playing well. And then everyone's gonna want to go grab him on waivers. So
Tuten was the fastest running back at the combine this year. He finished up his career at Virginia Tech. He had the single game rushing record against Boston College last year. It was like 280 yards. He is lightning in a bottle quick. We could make a list of the most confusing or least clear backfields going into the season. Jaguars, Texans, Cowboys.
Yeah.
Who's next after that? I don't even know if the Jets.
Yeah.
I think the Jets are there, don't you?
yeah, I think so. Just because we don't know just how much.
Yeah.
Allen's
Browns, maybe. Like, there's a handful of them, but the Jaguars definitely are up there where it feels like, the scare I have with the Jaguars this year is that, like, there's and I know that we use this player often as a comparison, but, like, there's a Tony Pollard in that mix. We just don't realize it. We're like, yeah, look, it could be Tank Bigsby. It could be ETN. It could be Bhayshul Tuten. And then it's like, no, like, ETN just has, like, 275 carries this year, and he was a first-round pick a few years ago, and he just, like, ends up being a really solid value.
I feel like when we talk about Travis Etienne, like there's just this forgotten thing where like we think that I don't know. I don't want to talk badly about a player, but like it feels like we think he's better than he is because I thought the year he was really good was just because he got so much volume. If you took his volume away, the efficiency wasn't really there for him.
Yeah, it's been it's probably a guy that needs a lesser workload.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot too much was on his shoulders that season. I think he was 3rd in touches, but at Clemson, his efficiency it was one of the most efficient running back seasons I've ever seen since I've been doing this. So it's too bad to see him going that direction, but that's the nature of the running back position in the NFL.
Too bad he couldn't play in college for another 10 years.
That's too bad.
Wouldn't that be great?
I think
All right.
I think the players want to.
They would love to do that. Yeah.
Didn't he have I'm almost positive he had the most games with a touchdown in FBS history?
Really?
Like the most individual games, like not the most
Wow.
touchdowns. But like
Breece Hall has to be close to that, right?
Breece was up there too.
He scored in like every single game for like
I think
2
it was a
seasons or
streak.
something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Breece was awesome. Iowa State, always tough.
So that's
Big
why
win for them
Ashton
in week
Genty
0.
doesn't count because he scored like 6 touchdowns a game.
Right.
But it's not how many touchdowns you scored. It's like every game being able to go in. That's
I
what
was
it is.
doing some prep. This is just a random note, but I was doing some prep for Get Up this morning quickly, and we were talking about.
Oh, I'm
Kate
sorry, Phil. I
Klubnik.
think you dropped that.
Name drop.
Sorry, I'll get that for you. Get up.
Mic drop and then name drop. So we were talking about Kate Klubnik from Clemson, and I was reminded of his game last year against Appalachian State, where he went 24 of 26 with 5 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns, and he played only the first half.
That's
No way.
unbelievable.
That's like me on Madden.
I was just going to say that. Oh. Out here
I can only
trying to
play on
grind.
rookie mode these days because I turn it up to pro, and I'm just like I'm getting torched by the
Pro.
computer.
Okay.
I don't know. I just can't. I don't have the chops I used to.
Yeah.
I used to be a pro.
All
but,
pro, all Madden, all that. Yeah, it gets tough.
I used to
Now
win
you're all
easy on all
washed.
Madden.
Yeah.
I am a washed Madden player for sure.
Oh, speaking of winning easy, one of the guys I think that's going to win over the start of the season for me, September 30th. Ricky Pearsall is a top 25 wide receiver over the first 4 months, over the first month of the season. I thought about doing top 20. I didn't want to go too far. Here's the thing. Ricky Pearsall right now is being drafted as wide receiver 44.
All right, fair enough.
At this point, for me to feel like he could be a top 25 guy, potentially even top 20, I think he's primed to be the number 1 wide receiver heading into this offense. Last year, you saw what he did at the end of the season. Week 17 and 18 were huge weeks. I love being able to see that. And I just don't think that he's on the same talent tier as Juwan Jennings.
Okay, that was the question I was going to ask you. If Juwan Jennings gets a deal tomorrow and he's back on the practice field the following day.
Yeah.
Who would you guys prefer? Like, if there was no concerns over Jennings' availability, who do you prefer this season? And I'm not talking about at cost, because they're going very close to each other.
I'm going Pearsall. I think we had this conversation at the Bahamas, I believe. Yeah. So
It was a couple too many margaritas.
I would.
yeah, I know.
For what it's worth, I have Ricky Pearsall as wide receiver 34 and Juwan Jennings as wide receiver 44. I have a 10-spot difference between them.
That's pretty notable.
And part of it is I don't want to say I don't believe in Juwan Jennings, but I don't think that he was the guy that you saw last year. And now hear me out, little loosey-goosey math. But everybody remembers the 46.5-point game that he had last year.
Yes.
That's a statistical outlier. That's not going to happen again this year. That will be the best game of his fantasy career without question. If you take out that one game, he averaged 11.7 fantasy points, less than Darnell Mooney, less than Khalil Shakir, less than Adam Thielen. This is one of he would have finished as wide receiver 39 if you take out that one game. Instead, he was wide receiver 27. And even at wide receiver 27, that was with no CMC for the entire season. Brandon Ayuk sucked. Deebo Samuel sucked. And Ricky Pearsall didn't even. They were playing, but they weren't playing well. And then Ricky Pearsall didn't even play until week 7. He had a bigger path because of that. I just think that Ricky Pearsall is a much better player than Juwan Jennings. Not that Juwan is bad. That's why I would be all in on Pearsall being a top 25 guy.
You want Pearsall more than you do Jennings.
I see what you did there. Nah, you tried it though.
8.55 targets per game though for Jennings after the bye last year. So he has me intrigued. We can't do this yet because there is the uncertainty surrounding his availability. But there could be some sort of board bet or whatever.
We could do something around that.
I'm not even sure that I believe my own case, but sometimes you just like to create controversy.
Let's see if a deal gets done, because if a deal gets done, then we really got some things to talk about there.
By the way, some of the ADP there has to do with the expectation that at some point Brandon Ayuk returns this season, but those two guys could remain the 1-2 punch on this offense. But I'm looking early in the season, like where like Jennings and Pearsall are in rankings, and they're certainly in wide receiver 3 flex territory, including I'm looking at week 2, they play the Saints, which we don't expect them to be very good, and the early projections have them both top 25 at wide receiver. So I mean, there's definitely a lot to like.
First 4 games: Seahawks, Saints, Cardinals, and Jaguars. At least the Saints and Jaguars don't give me a lot to be afraid of there.
Headline 2 for me.
Give it.
Here we go. This comes from the Thoughts from the Field.
Thoughts from the Field. THOUGHTS.
My second headline. Throughout the preseason, we extensively talked about a certain wide receiver who enters his second year in the NFL out of LSU. This player during his college career wore number 1, a number that he was able to wear after the Giants unretired that number last preseason. This player went on to have a remarkable year. His jersey sold like hotcakes. And some people believe that he may have had the best rookie wide receiver season ever. Is that good, Mike, or no? How was that? My headline?
Listen.
I still don't know what the headline is.
This is excellent. This is great detail.
The headline on Monday, September 15th. Did we draft Malik Nabers too low? I referenced this yesterday during the mock. I think he's my favorite first-round pick because for a guy who had 170 targets last year in 15 games, which is just 5 fewer than Jamar Chase in 17 games, it feels like everything that you would want from Malik Nabers this offseason has taken place, and the things that you don't want, absent a little bit of time off the practice field, did not take place, right? Like, who is the player the Giants added this offseason that makes you go, competition for targets is all of a sudden a lot stiffer? Nobody, right?
No.
On top of that, quarterback upgrade is real and legit. It seems like the biggest downgrade from his rookie season was that he only averaged 11 yards per catch. They had no choice. They had no offense last year.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this offense is going to be great this year. The defense could be great. But I do believe that Malik Nabers is due for positive regression in the yards per reception category. And maybe even if his volume drops a little bit, I mean, it's hard to repeat 115 catches or whatever it was last year over year. That being said, this guy just checks all the boxes of fantasy superstar, and the quarterback situation should be better. And the reason why I have this headline on Monday, September 5th, which would be the Monday after week 2's action,
September 15th.
Oh, sorry, so 15th, excuse me, is the Giants open the season with the Commanders and the Cowboys. Now, I think the Commanders should be better. They're deeper at corner for sure. Marshawn Lattimore, they are expecting big things from. We shall see, right? I mean, New Orleans felt prepared to move on from Marshawn Lattimore. And in week 2, they draw the Cowboys, who they have their own cornerback question marks. I think that is fair to say. The other thing that those two teams have in common is they should be high-powered passing offenses. Game script should work out favorably for the Giants, not just in weeks 1 and 2, but throughout the season. Like, I think there's a chance that at some point we're asking ourselves, should Malik Nabers have been talked about in the same breath that we are talking about Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb? Maybe not quite this Jamar Chase's level coming off of the Triple Crown season. I don't think it's that crazy.
Are we that far off, though? I mean, like, I have Lamb with 315 projected points, 310 for Nakua, 300 for Neighbors. I mean, they're all...
But they're going, like, Justin Jefferson's going 3rd overall in a lot of leagues. Yeah. Malik Nabers is going, like, 10th to 14th. That's a big discount.
All right, fair enough.
That's in the first round, that's a gigantic discount.
And I could see putting him, and we've had this conversation a little bit, but like I could see putting him ahead of Amon-Ra. I think he has a higher floor and a better path to being wide receiver 1 than Amon-Ra does. Amon-Ra's got a great floor, but like I don't think he'll ever finish as wide receiver 1. Mm-hmm. And if with Puka, I understand people are nervous about the Matthew Stafford back thing. You know, if you want to use it as a tiebreaker, like Malik Nabers could be right there. And all of a sudden, like just moving up those couple of spots, it does feel like he could be in that range. As someone that has caught passes from Russell Wilson, I will say that Malik Nabers is in a great spot this year.
Also, like, if they can pass protect a little bit, say whatever you want about Russell Wilson. As he showed again this preseason, the dude still throws one of the best deep balls in the NFL.
Oh. Yeah. By the way, more to come on the Giants.
Okay. Headline 2 from Mike Clay. Here we go.
Number 2, I'm going to save that one for 3rd because right now my second one is just... for you two, I gotta.
Okay, all right.
I gotta,
dramatic build here.
I gotta adjust a little bit. The headline is just Drake Maye, giant bold letters. That's it. Okay.
Drake Maye.
Is that good for you guys?
Got it.
Can I give everyone else more details?
Yes.
First sentence of the article. Wednesday, November 1st, sitting 4th among quarterbacks in fantasy points after 4 games. They played the Raiders, Dolphins, Steelers, and Panthers. Drake Maye has reached lineup lock territory in fantasy as he enters a Week 5 showdown with Josh Allen in Buffalo.
Hold on, Mike. November 1st is not Week 5.
No, but is this October 1st?
Yeah.
Okay.
Details.
Well, you can't trust me. Okay.
We cannot.
Should have had an editor look at the newspaper before we published it.
This is why we have copy and line editors.
That's right.
Yeah. So look, I think Drake Maye has a real shot. He's on the if you were to make a very, very short list of guys who could break through and be a superstar in fantasy this year, Drake Maye is perhaps on top of that list. The guy threw the ball well last season, been packing QBR, and he ran it very well, as Field likes to point out, without a lot of design runs.
Yep.
Very efficient second in yards per carry, scrambled a lot, and played well. And you would expect a year too late. That's the year for quarterbacks to make that leap.
Yep.
New scheme this year. A little worried about them being a little run heavy, and the defense is much better. So might not be wild game scripts, but he does have 2 matchups with like the Dolphins, for example, we talked about, among others. So I think Drake Maye is a real shot to make the leap this year.
Give me those 4 teams that he's playing again the first month of the season.
He's playing against the Raiders, which we love, the Dolphins, which we love, the Steelers we don't like, so we're maybe benching them that week, and then the Panthers in week 4, which we love.
Yeah, we do.
3 of those 4 matchups are juicy.
Yeah, like the push and pull here for Drake Maye. I think the pull back is in like, how does he not get there? Is that it's still not a great group around him, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's better a group, but not a great group. And also that he plays for a head coach in Mike Vrabel that definitely feels like they can win games, playing elite defense and running the football well. That being said, the skill set is pretty ridiculous. Like some of the wow plays from Drake Maye last year were as good as really any quarterback. I don't know about any quarterback, but most quarterbacks in the league. Remember that play at the end of the Titans game where it was like 8 seconds to go and the Patriots were down 7 points maybe? And Drake Maye scrambled for like 1,000 yards and then threw the ball up like a pop fly for a game-tying touchdown. There's enough wow plays from Drake Maye that makes you think that, like, if he lets it rip this year, he could certainly get there.
Do you think there are enough pass catchers in that offense? Do you believe in Stephon Diggs?
Here's what I would say, though.
Statistically, they have the most. They have 8. So I'm guessing they're going to make him.
Now, what I would say, though, is, again, he's not. I don't think he's on this level because Jaden Daniels had the most rushing yards from a rookie quarterback ever.
Yep.
But nobody was talking about Jaden Daniels' supporting cast in a particularly positive light into last season. It's all about the rushing for Drake Maye. If he runs a lot, we've got ourselves a gold mine.
You got it.
Good to go. All right, my second headline, October 31st. Okay. Jets trade Breece Hall during Week 9 bye week.
Right, no, this would be the Sunday of Week 4, according
to Michaels, yes. Aaron Glenn says that the Jets have no plans of trading Breece Hall. Quote, I like having 3 good guys. I just got to be honest. If you've got 3 running backs, you don't know which one of them is your running back. Like, that's not what I want to hear.
It's like the Browns. They were going to keep 4 quarterbacks, and we're like, okay, sure, you are.
Breece Hall is an unrestricted free agent heading into next season.
Yep.
Like, he has the chance to be able to walk away. Wouldn't you rather gets something for him than nothing for him. And maybe that's just what good franchises would do. Maybe I'm giving the Jets too much credit, right? Maybe that's part of the problem. But even Breece Hall said, I'm not their guy. He is not expecting an extension to happen this year. And with Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis, by the way, if you combine their ages, they're still younger than Joe Flacco as a starting quarterback in the NFL. It just feels like this could be the time. True?
It's close.
Don't fact check that. No, it's close. I think combined they're 44 and he's 40 this year. So, but if you tell me that by the time we get to week 9, the Jets recognize they're not playing for something that they want to be able to play for this year, wouldn't we rather get something for this asset than just let him walk away? That would be the time that I could see them saying, all right, time to move Breece Hall to one of these running back star of teams that need someone.
That'd be awesome.
Wouldn't that be great?
What a great
Houston, if Isaiah Pacheco doesn't find his form again, Kansas City, they're going to be opportunistic, of course. It's actually I love the call because right now, as a player, until the games begin, you can buy into what the coach is telling you, especially a new coach, very respected coach in Aaron Glenn, who played for the Jets. He was a first-round pick. He's a guy who's been through the business side of football. He was once franchise tagged by the Jets. He and Breece can probably have some honest conversations that not many head coaches are equipped to have. So it all sounds good right now. And then week 1 rolls around and he gets 8 touches and he's like, this is crap. Right? Why are we all sharing equal amounts of touches with the quarterback also running? So love the call there by Daniel.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right. Headline number 3, Mr. Yates.
Yeah, do you guys have any magazines? I don't know if you subscribe to them, but the town I live in sends out a magazine every few months with the latest around town and a feature on somebody. So I'm calling this the early season edition. It's not specific to a week or a date. The early season edition. Ollie Gordon cements his status as the Dolphins' RB2, which some are saying he may have already done. Was this the board bet that you and I wanted to make during the Bahamas?
Yeah,
break?
well, I didn't know Jalen Wright was that hurt. He's going to go on IR today, I would guess.
Yeah.
So obviously I've changed my tune there. Looks like Ollie Gordon will win that by default, no matter what.
I don't think it's as simple as that.
Yeah,
I think this guy is exactly what the Dolphins feel like they need this season. Just a quick reminder for those that don't spend as much time watching college football as we fortunately get to do. Ollie Gordon 2 years ago won the Doak Walker Award, which is given out every year to the best running back in all of college football. Of course, Ashton Jeanty got it last year. He was incredible 2 seasons ago. This past year, he was not great. The whole team stunk, as a matter of fact, in Oklahoma State. But he is huge. He's 6'2", 225 pounds, ran a 4.6 340, so he went in the 5th round. But the Dolphins keep talking we need to get tougher up front. Even Tyreek Hill was if it were 3rd and short, I wouldn't give the ball to Devon Achane as a runner. Ollie Gordon is the kind of guy that I think most people would be give the ball to him. So he has cemented his status. He had, I think, 26 carries for 126 yards and 2 touchdowns in the preseason. Is this fantasy relevant? I believe it is. For 2 reasons. Most importantly, if something happens to Devon Achane, we have to know who the next.
And he's not fully healthy right now, too. There's
Achane himself is banged up. Jalen Wright is banged up. On top of that, if you are making the anti-Achane case that's not tied to his current health status, it's maybe the team just wants to be a bit more judicious with a guy who's 175 pounds, right? He's probably 50 pounds lighter than Ollie Gordon. That's pretty crazy. They play the same position. Maybe his workload decreases just a little bit. And last year, Achane really relied on volume. And if the volume goes down a little bit, then if you're looking at running backs who might leapfrog ahead of him, Josh Jacobs, a Derrick Henry could prove to be more valuable than a Devon Achane, who's currently going just ahead of those guys.
Yeah, I like it. I think he, especially with Wright likely going on IR, he's found his way into that list we have of insurance running backs you take in the late round. So no doubt.
He's definitely moved up there.
Yep.
Field, I'm actually just sort of upset because you asked, do you guys subscribe to any magazines? And then you never let us answer the question because you just kept going. Highlights? Still get highlights?
Oh, yeah?
The children's mag? No, guys, come on. I have a 20-year-old son.
I was going to ask you to borrow some if you do.
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds awesome, actually.
Favorite magazine growing up? Sports Illustrated?
I got.
No, you know what? Mike caught himself. You know what Mike was going to say.
Something inappropriate was what I was going to say. No, Sporting News and SI. I got them both. Okay. I love them. But I would get Maxim and stuff when I got a little older too. I enjoyed those. Yeah.
Whoa.
We did
I read the articles.
Remember when they used to have things where you can get 3 or 4 magazines or something for like one price. I did that like right before college because it was like a crazy cheap deal, and it just kept going for years.
Oh, really?
So I would just get like all of them for the longest period. I loved sporting news, and I used to put like all the rosters and the box scores and all that stuff in. And of course ESPN the magazine.
Duh, of course. Yeah. What do you got?
I was a big NASCAR Today fan. I definitely got that one.
Winston Cup scene.
Dirt track racing. That was a big one for me. No, it was definitely Sports Illustrated for kids when I was like, I definitely like had that one. And then like as I got older, like I would, sort of, I never did music magazines. I always did sports stuff. So it was either SI for kids or just regular SI.
You used to get Area Auto because that was in the back. They would put the go-kart, at my go-kart track, they would put like the top 3 in each series, and I was in there a few times.
No way.
Yeah. Got a
we
couple
have the
top
clips
3s
somewhere or no?
I have pictures. I have pictures of the old
They didn't
days
have
and the
video
clips from the
cameras
paper
back
and
then.
stuff.
They just had still shots.
I know
when
we
Mike
had
was a child.
There's some video, but more pictures than video. But yeah, that was a good time.
All good answers there. Sports Illustrated definitely is like on the OG list for me.
Course.
My mom is from Columbus, Ohio, and so I grew up rooting like passionately for the Ohio State football team. I don't have quite the same sort of like fervor and passion for them as now as I did back then, but like the Buckeye Bulletin. And it's like amazing. That's one of those towns where at the time they didn't have a professional sports team. They now have the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Oh, that's weird. It looks like you just got removed from our Michigan men chat field.
I wasn't that much. I wasn't that.
That's strange. Okay. You mentioned Ohio State, and it's over for anyone from Michigan.
But I used to love it. Like you'd be reading about these kids, and you get this dense magazine, and it would be like every note you could possibly find from this kid. It was like, back in 3rd grade, like I used to go over to Mike's house like every Wednesday afternoon. It's like, wait, this guy being
Sounds like
recruited to
something
play football?
like
that.
It was awesome. It was great. It was just dense information. I loved it, and went to a handful of Ohio State games growing up, and I thought it was so cool that like you walk around town on Fridays and like all anybody cares about is the football game the next day.
Has anybody, just like with a show of raise of hands, have you ever been on the cover of a magazine, Mike?
My name has been, not my picture.
What about you, Jace? Have you ever been on the cover of a magazine?
No.
Have you?
No, I have not. I was
leading
just
us.
curious. No.
Oh.
Well, we did a fake magazine, I think called Athleisure, where we made fun of that.
That's right. I did.
So that was
that was one. Go find it.
But anyways, no big deal.
Yeah.
And all right, next up, Mike Clay. We got something in there. Hold on. Everyone's.
I'm trying to.
We're gonna do a quick
Oh, no,
pause.
do you have like a
find it.
magazine? Do you just
Oh, here
carry
it is.
magazines around?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
there we
there's
go.
this magazine.
Hey!
Oh, it says Mike Clay's
right there.
name on the
Yeah, that
front.
guy.
Leave home without
Okay.
it.
Does anyone else's name end up on the front of that, or is it just Mike Clay's?
John Robinson, just me and
Well,
Bajan.
it's just you and Bajan. No big
the two
deal,
first round
guys.
picks, the 2 superstars around these parts. I mean,
Headline 3, Mike.
that's just my life that I live.
You gave us a
all right, next
spoiler alert
headline.
for this one earlier in the show.
I did give you a spoiler alert. We're gonna spoiler alert. Hopefully, I get the date right here.
Yep.
Monday, October 27th. After reviewing the tape of a Week 8 loss in Philadelphia that drops his Giants to 2-6, Coach Brian Daboll names Jackson Dart the team starter for a Week 9 home game against the struggling 49ers defense.
Wow.
So, hear me out on this. This
hearing
is
you.
the Giants' schedule to start the season. So,
Yeah.
and by the way, I want to say this: the
schedule for
Giants
the whole
fans are
season, by the
furious
way?
right now that I said 2-6. I think the defense is better. Maybe a top 10 defense on paper.
Yep, I would agree.
Offense should be better with Russell Wilson there, but they were very bad last year. They're catching up a little bit. The team's a little better. They still have work to do, but the schedule is brutal. They start in Washington, then they go to Dallas. Then they host the Chiefs and Chargers. Then they go to New Orleans, which
That one's
should be a
okay.
win.
Okay.
Then they host the Eagles. Then they go to Denver. And then they go to Philadelphia. So
that's got to be
that could
the
be 2-6
hardest strength of
easily.
schedule to start the
they have
season.
the
isn't it?
hardest. They perhaps the hardest schedule in the NFL this
would agree,
season.
yeah.
There's a couple that you can make a case for, but yeah, it's a brutal schedule, especially during the Russell Wilson era. If you're 2-6 at that point, you're coming to the trade deadline. I think it's time to take a look at Jackson Dart.
Jackson Dart looked pretty good during the preseason as well out there. Like very much commanding the offense. Looked like a rookie that if you needed to throw him out there at the middle part of year one, it doesn't feel like you would be undermining anything that his growth would be. So,
And do we think? I just would be curious. Just very like first blush knee jerk reaction. Does Jackson Dart help, hurt, or keep the value of Malik Nabers kind of stuff?
I think it will be fine because first
agree.
of all, if you turn
He
the
weathered a
corner to
storm
him at
last
that
year,
point, the schedule will be lighter in the second half. Also, if you're making that turn, you think he's ready to go to some extent.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be fine. Also, he's going to have a huge target share no matter what.
Yeah, totally. Before you get to your third headline, Daniel, just to put a bow on something that we talked about a few moments ago, Dolphins GM Chris Greer said that he expects Devon Achane to play in week 1. He will be ready for week 1. So
want to hear that?
Well, it's
Jalen Wright
still something we're watching for sure.
Yes.
How does he look? It sounds like we'll at least have Achane on the field.
Love that.
Yep.
All right. My last headline, January 1st. Texans finished the season without a single top 30 fantasy running back on their roster. Similar to the Raiders last year, I just don't think there's anyone in this backfield that is worth drafting in 10-team leagues. No to Joe Mixon. I haven't drafted him once. He's going to start the season on the NFI list. He's going to miss at least 4 games. No to Nick Chubb. I also haven't drafted him once. I just don't think that there's enough in the tank with Nick Chubb. If there was one guy that I would throw a dart at, Fields, you mentioned this yesterday, it would be Woody Marks.
You like that call, Mike?
But that dart is at the very end of drafts if I'm going to throw it.
I did not like him as a prospect, but I do like the opportunity.
What
Just
did he do to you?
efficiency-wise. The efficiency was just very poor, and that's usually a pretty big red flag for me.
Great pass catcher.
But if it's Chubb and Marks out there, he might be the most fantasy relevant guy. I just don't know if he's going to be very effective and if he's going to have enough volume. I honestly, I mean, you can finish your thought because are you rolling through the other options here?
It's basically like
right.
I'm out on Nick Chubb. I don't believe that Dameon Pierce is going to be a guy, and Woody Marks is like maybe a guy that you do at the very end. But like at that point, I feel like you've got a 3-headed committee between
and
those.
Maybe 4,
reasons.
because that's what exactly. I don't know what they're even going to do week 1 because Dare Ogunbowale is the guy I like a lot, and they like in a specific role.
Wait, you like Dare Ogunbowale a lot?
They like to keep him around and give him he could have touches in week 1. And is Woody Marks a healthy scratch in week 1? Like
Possible, yeah.
I don't know. Like I don't know what they're going to do. That's one of the hardest things to project right now is what that deployment even looks like in the first couple weeks of the season. So I don't know.
It's going to be a good segment. Again, we could do this later. Tyler, make a note. Just like go through the 5 backfields that are the most difficult to figure out.
Ooh.
And our goal in that
handicap.
I don't believe. Well, I was going to say I don't even think the goal of this segment is to say like, here's what we expect because we are acknowledging we don't know what to expect.
Yeah, here's what we found out.
Like, here's what we know. Here's what we don't know about them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So but I mean, at the end of the day, all 3 of us are drafting and we're making decisions at some point in those drafts. Like, all right, you know what? I'm going to take a shot on Travis Etienne here. Or I'm going to throw a dart at Woody Marks here. Like, when does that happen? So that could be the point of the segment is to say, I'm all out on this backfield, or here's the guy I'm considering taking a shot on.
And I have said this a bunch in Field. I believe that you have said it as well, but I am all out on Joe Mixon. I understand that you could draft him and then immediately put him into an IR spot, right? But with how much volatility there is within the NFL, as soon as someone else gets hurt and I need that IR position, I probably want to not have Joe Mixon there. I would rather lose like potential weeks because Joe Mixon comes back and looks better than what I think, then feel like I'm wasting roster spots week after week after week on Joe Mixon.
Let's call a spade, by the way, on Joe Mixon. The fact that they announced he was going to the NFI reserve list yesterday, and there's been zero suggestion from anybody that like, hey, it's week 4, we get through it, and then we think he's back in week 5. Yeah. Like the Bucs moved Chris Godwin from the PUP list to the active roster, which does not mean we expect him to play right away, but it's a sign that like they are going to work to ramp him up.
Yeah.
There's been no suggestion that Joe Mixon is anywhere close to being on the field.
Correct.
This has been complete mystery all off season. Like if you told me he doesn't play at all this year, again, I wouldn't be stunned.
Yeah.
Mike, the one question that I have for you, I believe when I was looking at your draft kit, because you have an awesome, it's your pin tweet at the very top, being able to look at all the positional grades. Texans looked like they had one of the worst offensive lines. I think it was a 3 out of 10. Yeah. That doesn't help the running back room when I look at this situation either. It would be different if it's like, hey, we got 3 guys and a good offensive line, so we think they all can do something. It's kind of the opposite. We have 3 to 4 guys, and I don't like the offensive line.
Yeah, I think you said it best the other day, which was your reaction to this is to invest in the passing game.
Right.
Right? I think
Nico
that was
Collins.
what you said.
Yeah.
Nico Collins.
Nico, maybe at some point, Jaden Higgins, I think maybe slow start there because Xavier Hutchinson's generating a lot of noise. Christian Kirk, of course. So might take a little time for Higgins, but there's probably room for a few guys to contribute in this passing.
So you mentioned that's Mike's pinned tweet.
Yes.
For a very, very long time, Mike had a different pinned tweet. And I don't think the story has been told enough. So I think we should go back down this path, unless you guys have anything else to add on the Texans running backs.
The only thing that I would say is if my headline 2 bleeds into my headline 3, where Breece Hall gets traded by week 9, then the Texans may have a top 30 running back at that point. But unless that trade happens, I'm good with it. So I just wanted to bleed those 2 headlines together. That's it.
I think, by the way, that would be an incredible call. Like if that happens, like all credit to you because you nailed it. Mike, you once broke the news about Martellus.
So you know what you were talking about. Yeah. Yeah, that's like the only time I broke news, so that's why it was my pinned tweet for so long, I'm sure.
Tell the story.
I've told this before, but
but
Martellus Bennett followed me on Twitter for a long time. Back in the day, Twitter was kind of a different place, especially within football Twitter.
Yeah,
I think it was more positive. I definitely a lot more engagement for me. I thought it was better back in the day. Maybe it just depends on your audience.
No, I
was at PFF. It was a little different. But anyway, so he followed me, and I was very high on him. He was like one of my favorite breakout players. He had a big year, and then he just DM'd me at like 4:50. It was at 3:55. I think 4:00 is when free agency opened. This was over 10 years ago, and he said, "Hey, I'm signing with the Bears," and I was like, "Can I should pull this up at some point to read what he said," but I was like, "Can I report that?" And he was like, "Yeah, right at 4:00. You have to wait till 4:00." And I was like, so really quick, I try to do my best Adam Schefter and come up with like a tweet. Martellus Bennett tells me he's signing with the Chicago Bears. And I waited till 4:00 and hit the button. And I was definitely a little nervous. Like, is he messing with me?
Yeah, of course.
But he was not. And that was my 10 minutes of Adam Schefter just watching my feed go.
That's incredible.
As everyone just started retweeting it.
Did anybody else credit you or no?
Yeah, I got some credit. Okay. Yeah. The other Bears reporters then picked it up, so it started to go. Other people had it too. But I had the first free agent signing that year, and then like the next year, I was like lower on him, and then he unfollowed me, and I've never heard from him.
That's the best part.
I haven't heard from him since.
That's amazing.
He's a good dude, though. Yeah,
I'd be nervous. I would be because to your point, like. I guess it depends. Where were you? Were you at PFF at this point?
I was at PFF. I didn't have as much to lose at that point too, so it was well worth it. And it all happened so fast too. So, and again, he had followed me for a while, so I was fairly confident he wasn't.
Also, at this point, like those blue check marks mattered. They weren't paid for. So
yes, back then it was a big deal.
I did know it was him for sure. Okay, yeah.
Now there's going to be like some guy who's just like following you, like like Trey Hendrickson
so frustrating.
DMs Mike like, "Hey, after this season, I'm signing with the Panthers or something."
Yeah.
What? Like. Why is that Trey Hendrickson, but the I in the Hendrickson is actually an L? Like, what's going on here? You know?
Did you get that rush? Did you feel like
absolutely?
I've been in the room with Shefty before as his producer when it's like we actually have to pause because he's got a thing he's got to break, and it's like watching him break news on his phone is like I get hyped watching it happen.
We've talked about this before too. You and being up in the middle of the night waiting to be able to.
Oh man,
you've talked
Some
about
of
that
those days. Yeah.
Well, hey. This was a really fun show. Appreciate you guys. Headlines from the future. I do want to give a little teaser for tomorrow. Okay. I believe we're going to be doing hot takes. A callback from last year in which we did all of our big spicy hot takes. As you remember, Field was on the IR list for a couple of shows after that. Field, maybe we go a different direction with you this year. Maybe we don't do hot takes.
That's being negotiated.
We're going to be
right
negotiated.
Now with the
all right.
production staff. So,
okay,
we'll see how that works.
He did recently sign a new contract, so I'm sure there's a clause.
And maybe did we ever say that on the show? By the way, congratulations on signing a new deal, my friend. Like that's unbelievable that you get to be here again. You have earned so much, and you've crushed all the draft stuff that you've been given. Everything you're doing here at Fantasy Football, like it's unbelievable.
I was surprised just because I assumed he has like a lifetime contract. You wouldn't need to they're gonna keep you here forever.
It's like the Steph Curry shoe deal, right? And it's like they're just going to keep you forever.
You guys are incredibly kind. Extremely grateful to stay at ESPN. This is the coolest place on the planet to work. So I love working with you guys every single day. I am pumped to be sticking around.
Do you shower every single day? Because you still have that fake tattoo on your arm, and I can't tell if you actually showered or if you just.
I do. Yes,
I didn't get one of them. I'm a little offended.
You didn't ask.
Whatever.
Well, that's too bad.
Yes, I do shower every day.
All right, good for you.
Most days.
Headline from the future.
Yeah.
All right. That's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Those are our headlines from the future. Come back tomorrow. It's going to be a very spicy show. You will not want to miss it. Don't forget to love each other and be kind to yourself. We'll see you guys tomorrow.